Good evening. I'm so excited to be here again. Happy that you're joining me again. And for the newcomers who are joining for the first time, my name is Millicent Kaunda. So delighted to be here again. We started on a journey on the 6th of February. And last week we wound up the journey on the book of Nehemiah. And so today, as we now put a seal, covering everything that we have learned from the book of Nehemiah, I want us to look at the strategic planning lessons from the book of Nehemiah. That is what I'd call the practical application for modern leadership. And then after this Friday, now next week, we will get into something else as God helps us to go on. And so all of you who are tuning in, I'd request you to share the link with somebody, host a watch party. Yes, invite all your friends who are leaders so that together we will be able to see how to integrate strategic planning with what we've been learning in the past 5 weeks that we have been meeting together. So share the link, host a watch party, and welcome on board you who is new. Great to see you there. Yes. Allow me to pray briefly, and then we will get down into our lesson of today. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for giving us this chance that we can just look through this lesson on strategic planning together. We bless you, we honor you in Jesus' name. So karibu sana. Strategic planning, this strategic planning, we want to look at how the book of Nehemiah integrates strategic planning. I know strategic planning is this big word that nowadays is being used in organizations. And the main thing it means is how you can put together your vision, your mission, your core values, and your strategic priority areas, and ultimately come up with the implementation matrix. That, in a nutshell, is what this big word strategic planning means. And so when we talk of strategic planning, it's like having practical application for modern leadership. The book of Nehemiah provides one of the most comprehensive biblical case studies on strategic leadership, project management, and organizational transformation. Isn't it interesting how you can get this book that most of the time we think is just a religious book, yet it can be able to inform your leadership in the corporate, it can inform your leadership in the national leadership, it can inform leadership anywhere. Yet we normally look at it, at times most of us just discard it as a religious book, yet it has all the answers that can help us as leaders to grow. And so the book of Nehemiah, we were told, like we were learning the last 5 weeks, that he was a cupbearer in a Persian court who successfully rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem in 52 days despite overwhelming opposition. And you know why he did this? It's because he sat down, came up with a strategic plan. He had a vision that he set together. He had a mission statement, and he had the core values. Ultimately, he set out the key, or rather what I'd call the strategic priority areas. And finally, he had to put down a matrix, what I'd call an implementation matrix, because you can have a great vision, you can have a great mission, you can have very nice key core values, and you can have very great strategic priority areas. But if you don't put the matrix of implementation, it will remain as a book that you keep on the shelf and you do not revisit. At the end of maybe 5 years, because most strategic plans are for 5 years, you will go and pick it and feel nice that you had created a strategic plan, yet there isn't much that you will have accomplished. And so a strategic plan, the gist area is what I normally call the implementation matrix. If you're able to implement at least 80% of your strategic plan, then you can be counted as successful. And so, looking at Nehemiah, we are going to look just at a few things today as we now wrap up totally, having gleaned the lessons, the principles during the last 5 weeks. Today, as we just look at how to integrate the strategic planning here, we start with what Nehemiah started with. Nehemiah asks a question from his brother, and the brother tells him the state of the wall of Jerusalem, and this made him very sad. But even though he was sad, he started by assessing after praying, and now he has been given a leeway by his boss to go back to Jerusalem to see how they can build the wall. He did not get there and with lorries that are carrying stones, and poured the material, the building materials there. No, he first sat back and did an assessment before action. And that's what a strategic leader does. A strategic leader will sit back, assess the situation so that they get to know the degree of the damage. They get to know how much material will be required. They get to know how much time will be required. And what about the human resource? How much of the human resource will be required for this thing? So Nehemiah didn't rush into action. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, he spent 3 days assessing the situation privately before announcing his plans. And that is what every effective leader needs to do. Assess the situation before action. If you have been maybe promoted in a place or given a department that is barely surviving, a department that is almost under, going under, and you want to make it thrive, you sit back before you come in on the first day and start bombarding the people with the action activities. Sit back, relax, and do the assessment thoroughly. That is what Nehemiah did. And we can see this did in Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 11 to 16. This is what the Bible says. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. Then I arose in the night, I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. And I went out by night through the valley gate to the serpent well and the refuse gate, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and its gates, which were burnt with fire. Realize that Nehemiah is picking just a handful people. When you are doing an assessment, you do not need the whole crowd, because if you go with the whole crowd, they will overwhelm you, or they might be overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the ground. They might get to a point where they give up even before they start. And so as a leader, when you're doing an assessment, you need a small team before engaging the bigger team. Work with a small group before engaging the bigger group, and that's what Nehemiah did. And he spent 3 days assessing the situation privately before announcing his plans. And this is the reason why when a strategic plan is being done, it's normally a small group that sits, it's a small group that does the assessment, it's a small group that comes up with the roadmap towards success. And that is what a leader does. Now, how do we apply this? Number one, conduct a thorough assessment as a leader. That is part of strategic planning. You need to conduct a thorough assessment. Do not announce strategies before understanding the full scope of the problem. Personally inspect the situation rather than relying solely on reports, because maybe the reports you are being given are not correct. Maybe the person who is giving you this report has not done an assessment. And so if the project is yours, you must do a thorough situational analysis, a situational analysis. And in the situational analysis, that is the place where we normally look at the SWOT, the strengths, the weaknesses, the threats, the opportunities, and what we normally call the pestle. You look at the environment within which this project is, so that by the time you're coming up with strategies, all this, both internal environment and external environment, has already been put into check. You have to check out who are the key stakeholders of this particular project that you are undertaking. A good strategic leader will do all that. And then He took time. You have to take time to gather data before making pronouncements. In other words, as you're doing your assessments, you need to have a book or you need to have a digital something where you are recording the data, because this data is what will help you even as you proceed with the project implementation. And so assessment builds credibility. You can't lead what you don't understand. You can't lead what you don't understand. Right now, we are having so many people who are all rising up and they're really excited because next year we are going to the ballot box again. Some are busy preparing themselves to become the president of the nation of Kenya. Others are busy setting themselves to be the governors, the senators, the MPs. But I want to let you know that all those areas that we are talking about are jurisdictions. It's like a project that you are being given. And now, even as you prepare yourself for whatever area that you want to take up, start doing your assessment now, so that if perchance the vote falls for you, then you will have done your situational analysis. You can get to the ground and begin rallying people around you, so that at the end of the 5 years, at least you will have implemented 80%. Now, this is normally the undoing of leaders, because they start announcing their manifestos. They start saying how they will do this. They will give you water. Some of them almost want to promise you that they will make you rivers, But you know what? It's because they have not yet done a situational analysis. You need to do a situational analysis, knowing that you might have only one term, or if perchance you perform well, then you'll have 2 terms to the utmost. Now, within this one term, you need to have created a lot of credibility, because you have the data, and be able to accomplish at least 80% of the project that you're setting yourself to accomplish. Practical steps: schedule a reconnaissance time when taking on new leadership roles. Visit the broken walls in your organization. What's not working? Check out. What is this that is not working? How is the organizational culture? Is it the one that is hindering the growth of this organization? What about the structure, the organizational structure? Because some structures are the very ones that hinder an organization from progressing. You have to check on that. Check on how people are working. How are they relating with each other? You need to check on that, so that by the time you are sitting down, you know what it is that is not working. Interview key stakeholders privately before public announcements. There are people I normally call the opinion leaders. They may not be holding key offices, but they are people who shape the opinion of the organization. They are people who shape the opinion of the nation. You need to talk to them. You need to sit down with them. You need to interview them before you make any public announcements. If it's a constituency, for instance, you want to become an MP, go to the ground, go to the ground, not just on top of vehicles announcing the things that you're going to give, but before going on top of vehicles and shouting at the top of your voice or the top of your lungs, you need to first and foremost go down, to those drainages, go down to those, we normally call them kibandaski, the kiosk, go down to the mamamboga, go down to the people who own those places and find out what is this that is not working. Interview them, because they will tell you. Remember the other day, my sister was telling me that if you want to buy a piece of land and you want to know whether it's a genuine piece of land, look for even drunkards who are in that area. They will tell you the right position, whether this land has been sold to several people, because drunkards never get to know how to lie. They will just tell you bluntly the way it is. So interview people. The very people that at times you may look at and you're ignoring or look down upon may be the ones who will come in handy when you get down to your project. Then document the current state honestly before proposing future state. In other words, here you have not even come up with a vision yet. You are still picking data. You are still collecting data and you're documenting. Now, a modern example is a new CEO spending the first 90 days listening, observing, and learning before implementing changes. not coming in with a predetermined playbook, because if you do, you are setting yourself up for failure. So you need to listen, you need to observe, you need to learn before implementing the changes. Yeah. Number one, we said it's assessment. Number two, develop now, after gathering data, develop a clear, compelling vision. Every good strategic planning vision comes after an assessment has been done. Nehemiah articulated a clear vision that connected the practical task, rebuilding the walls, to a larger purpose of restoring dignity and God's glory. So the smaller tasks, the practical task was rebuilding of the walls, but the larger picture involved the restoring dignity and God's glory, because God's people were just exposed when the walls were broken. But he knew, if I build these walls, then it will be that my people's destiny will be restored. In other words, the greatest purpose was the restoration. The labor part was the rebuilding of the walls. And any project normally has two parts. Any vision has two parts. It has the labor part, but it has the bigger picture, which is the purpose for which you're doing it. Nehemiah 2:17, then I said to them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies in waste and its gates are burnt with fire. Come and let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. See how he is mixing or putting together the labor part, which is rebuilding, and the restoration of dignity, which is the purpose. Yeah. So he's able to put on the labor and the purpose, so that the people are not going to say we are slaving for Nehemiah. No, they know they are working out something bigger. They are fighting for a purpose. They are building for a purpose, and the purpose is restoring the dignity. When you tell people the purpose before giving them the labor, they will all rally behind you and they will help you accomplish. Leadership application that we get from here is craft a vision that inspires. Yeah? Craft a vision that inspires. You know what? People do not care the how of the work until they know the why of the work. The why is the purpose, the how is the labor part. Name the problem clearly. Nehemiah did. He named the problem clearly. Paint the picture of the solution. He painted the picture. He told them, we are in distress. That was the problem. And the solution was, come, let us build. This is the solution that will remove us out of distress. And then connect to deeper meaning. Yeah, connect to deeper meaning. So name the problem clearly, paint the picture of the solution, and connect to deeper meaning. In connecting to the deeper meaning, Nehemiah tells them that we may no longer be a reproach, So everybody doesn't want to be in reproach. Everybody doesn't want to lose their dignity. And so they fell there, and they threw themselves into the work of rebuilding the wall, because they knew they did not want to be in reproach. And then make it about collective identity. He made sure that they understood it was not about him, It was not selfish. It was not about him. But he's telling them, that we may no longer. Realize he does not say that I may no longer. No, it's that we may no longer be a reproach. So the issue is we. He makes it a collective identity. The elements of Nehemiah's vision. What did the vision capture? Number one, the vision captured the reality. And so your vision should capture the reality. Number two, the vision had a specific goal. His specific goal was rebuilding the wall. Your vision must have a very specific goal. Many times we get so many visions that actually do not have a specific goal. It is fake. It is vague. You do not know whether you have hit it or not. But Nehemiah's had a reality. It was a real vision. It had a reality check, and it had a specific goal. Number three, it had an emotional appeal. It appealed to the people emotionally. They did not want to continue being in reproach. And number 3, it had a collective action. A good vision has a reality check, has a specific goal, has an emotional appeal, and has a collective action. If you do that, then the time when you're getting to the implementation matrix, everybody will throw themselves into the project because this will have captivated them. So practically, what are we saying? Write your vision in one compelling paragraph. It should not be a whole page, just one compelling paragraph. Test it. Does it answer why? Does it answer why this? Does it answer why now? And does it answer why us? Every vision must answer those 3 questions. Why this? Why now? And why us? Communicate the vision repeatedly in multiple formats because people will always forget. So as you meet with them, talk vision. As you pass along the corridors, talk vision. And then connect daily tasks to the larger vision. Connect daily to the larger vision.